What's up, everybody? Hey, happy Monday. Okay, so we are going to be talking about inflammation today. I know that may not sound like the most exotic topic, but look, this is an important one when it comes to truly understanding what's happening in our body, what nutrition can do to help the situation, and educating ourselves. A lot of times, we start to put up with the way that our body feels in a negative way, and we think that this is just the way things are, either because one, it's been that way for so long, or two, we've come to believe some of the false things like this is what happens when you reach a certain age, or these are the things that run in my family, or whatnot. Inflammation is the number one contributing factor and cause of many, many issues in the body, not just obvious ones like joint pain and arthritis, but it is also linked to a lot of chronic diseases, diabetes, heart disease, stroke, hypertension, and different things like that. So we're going to be talking today kind of more or less what is what is diabetes, what is inflammation, how does it get there? And tomorrow in the group, I'm going to be posting a really interesting thing that gives you a list of foods to avoid. And I'll talk about some of them today, but also foods that are good that we want to take that will actually help reduce inflammation in our body. So let me pull up my note here. I have ads in the way. Okay, so inflammation, so just so we understand the basics of what inflammation is a vital part of your immune system. And it's your immune system's response to injury generally, right? Or infection. It is essentially your body's way of signaling to the immune system that, hey, there is healing and repairing or damaged tissue essentially that needs to be healed. So it also works to defend itself against foreign invaders, such as viruses and bacteria. So without inflammation, wounds would fester and infections would become deadly. So it's not that inflammation, period, is a negative thing. But for a lot of people, when it contributes to some of the things I discussed before, there's way too much inflammation in the body. So the inflammatory process, if it goes on for too long, or if the inflammatory response occurs where it's not needed in certain places, it can become problematic. Chronic inflammation, as I said, has been linked to certain things such as heart disease, stroke, and can also lead to autoimmune disorders such as rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, different things like that. So this is why it's important that we understand that when it comes to eating healthy, it cannot be, you guys. I am sorry to tell you this, but listen to this part very closely. You cannot have your choices of what goes in your mouth and what you feed yourself in a bulk way, meaning not that you have to be perfect, but I'm talking about your habits, the way you eat on the regular. It can't be geared towards weight loss. I know that sounds weird, right? Especially if you have weight to lose. That won't be enough to motivate you. It won't. But if you can understand that the way you are going to choose to eat is preventing you from diseases like the one that I've mentioned, or even let's just say it's not a severe disease. Let's just talk about general aches and pains. Your joints not working well, you being limited on the things that you can do, not feeling good when you wake up in the morning. I mean, fatigue, headaches, lovely things like that. We should, and I'm going to assume all of us, if we had the choice, would avoid them. And it's much easier to avoid those things than we think. But if what you eat is only based on what will make you lose weight, that does not necessarily mean that that will be in alignment with health. Weight loss and health are not always, go hand in hand as far as the methods. Okay, let's see, where was I? Sorry, so let's talk about chronic inflammation. So unlike acute inflammation, so acute inflammation is not like cute, like, you won't put a bow on it. Acute inflammation means a specific area. So if I had a sprained ankle or an injury, then there's going to be acute inflammation designed to heal that area from its injury. But chronic inflammation can have long-term and whole body effects. It is also called persistent low-grade inflammation because it produces a steady low level of inflammation throughout the body, as judged by a small rise in the immune system markers found in blood or tissue. So, low levels of inflammation can be triggered by a perceived internal threat, even when there isn't disease to fight or an injury to heal. And sometimes this signals the immune system to respond. And as a result, white blood cells swarm but have nothing to do and nowhere to go. And they may eventually start attacking internal organs and other healthy tissues and cells. Okay? So for example, chronic inflammation has been linked to heart disease and stroke. So one theory suggests that when inflammatory cells stay too long in the blood vessels, they promote the buildup of plaque. The body perceives this plaque as a foreign substance that does not belong. So, so it tries to wall off the plaque from the blood flowing inside the arteries, okay? If the plaque becomes unstable and ruptures, it forms a clot. That blood flow to the heart or brain, triggering a heart attack or stroke, right? But generally, so cancer is another one that is linked to chronic inflammation. Definitely can raise your likelihood. There's tons of, honest to God, anything that's going on inside your body, whether it is, if somebody does have a lot of weight gain, not only is that a sign of inflammation, because obviously we are going to be having extra weight on the joints and you're probably experiencing pain and discomfort at some point. But it is going to be linked to some of these other conditions. So whatever your situation is, a goal is always great to lower the inflammation in your body. If you have a very low inflammatory diet, then you will lose weight if there's weight to be lost. But most importantly, you will be a lot more mobile. You will be putting yourself in a situation where you can avoid certain diseases and ailments. Now, real quick, I am going to get into this more tomorrow in a post, but I do want to talk about some of the most common inflammatory foods that you want to avoid, okay? Bread, pasta, wheat. Now, obviously, white flour is on the top of that list. Whole wheat and multigrain, it's not as bad, but guys, it does still cause inflammation because the reality is it is not produced the same way that it was way back in the day with our ancestors. And our bodies have a hard time processing it. So when you have wheat products like that, bread and pasta, it quickly does cause inflammation in the body, simply because most of those things are stripped of the slow digesting fiber nutrients. And that means that the body can break these foods down very quickly. Anytime you're eating a food that's broken down very quickly in your body, that spikes your insulin. And when you have a spike in insulin, that will lead to inflammation because your body is saying something must be wrong. Dairy products, okay? When ingested, dairy products will cause disruption and irritation to the cells of the gut. So that's another place that inflammation will live, is in your gut health. And gut health issues are no fun. So this irritation can allow allergens to leak into the bloodstream and cause inflammatory symptoms. And those symptoms can be things like headaches, fatigue, joint pain, and skin rashes. Sometimes people don't realize that they're not able to handle some of these foods because you've been eating them so long, you have these symptoms, and you think this is just part of life. Not true. Obviously, fried foods, we don't have to explain that, I think. Let's talk about omega-6 oils. So, eating a diet rich in omega fatty acids sounds healthy, right? But may be causing some serious inflammation. So, you need to consume omega-6 and omega-3 oils because your bodies cannot make them, but they have to be in a very specific balance. Omega-6 are highly inflammatory and promote chronic disease. To avoid an imbalance, you need to really stay away from the following oils: corn, safflower, sunflower, soy, canola, peanut, cottonseed, and grapeseed. Okay, so I would avoid those. Coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil. These are great. Sugar. Sugar is no one's friend and definitely causes a lot of inflammation in the body. I am on day 1 right now, by the way, of the Ultimate Reset, which is a detox cleanse. And I've been allowing way too much sugar in my diet and way too much of these other inflammatory foods in my diet. And I have noticed things are not going the way I want to, especially when I have injuries. So this is not going to be the easiest 21 days, but I'm going to share my results with you. And I guarantee you, I'm going to have a significant reduction in inflammation. So the thing with sugar, sugar, dyes, and preservatives cause inflammation. Foods that cause inflammation do so by damaging the gut lining, which can lead to leaky gut. Okay, does not sound good, right? So our gut lining is thin and can be easily damaged, allowing food particles into your bloodstream. So that's what we want to stay away from. Obviously, soda is a big no-no, huge inflammatory. Deli meat you need to be really careful of because most of the processed meats have all kinds of things done to them. So make sure that if you're going to be getting lunch meat that you want to get something that are a better quality. So here it states processed meats such as deli meat contain more advanced glycation end products, AGEs, than most meats. So they are inflammatory compounds that are created when the meats are dried, smoked, otherwise processed at high temperatures. Donuts, that really upsets me. Donuts are my favorite thing. But yes, they will cause inflammation. And so there you go. So those are some of your most common inflammatory foods to avoid. I hope that this is speaking to you. It's worth it. It doesn't mean you can never eat any of these foods ever again, but if they are creeping into the regularity of your diet and eating habits, it's going to cause issues that you just don't want to deal with. All right, tomorrow look for that post so you can look at the foods to avoid, but also the foods to include to help you in that process. Have a great week, you guys.